Today on Monkey Life, the team are in Lebanon on a rescue mission to pick up a very lonely chimp.
Good girl.
She's got no company, she hasn't got any space.
But they hit problems when they realise they can't get her out of the cage.
You're going to be really angry with me when I take this with a big hammer.
And overweight orangutan Oshine is a surprise star pupil.
Good girl.
Monkey World is based in the English county of Dorset. It's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team dedicate their lives to rescuing and rehabilitating primates from all over the world.
She's up and alert and she looks brilliant.
Lebanon has been at the centre of many bloody wars in the Middle East. Today, the country is politically unstable and peace is fragile. Alison, animal director Jeremy Keeling and wildlife vet John Lewis have flown 2,000 miles from the UK to the capital Beirut to rescue a chimp called Kiki and take her back to the park.
First morning in Beirut, actually lovely day, and hopefully that's good foreboding because we're off to see Kiki for the very first time today. So we'll be interested to see exactly how big she is. I've only seen photographs so far, and try and make a plan because when we move her, it's going to be very, very early in the morning and still dark. So taking John and Jeremy over to see her, we can size up the situation, see what she's like. Is she friendly? Is she going to let us inject her willingly? All of these questions remain to be answered, so we're sort of excited to get over there and see her.
A number of organisations have tried to rescue Kiki over the last few years, but have failed. However, after several months of discussions, Alison has now managed to convince Kiki's owners that she would be better off at Monkey World.
Oh, there she is. Hello, Kiki. Hello, you.
This cage was built for Kiki when she was just 2 years old. At first, her owners let her out to play, but after a couple of years, she became too boisterous, so has been confined to the cage ever since.
Would you like something? I did. I brought you some treats. Well, first of all, an orange. Would you like an orange? Oh, would you like one? What's he got? Good girl.
Alison, Jeremy and John will need to gain Kiki's trust before they can attempt to move her.
Overall, general health, she appears great. She has been getting vet care. And she seems pretty calm and happy. She took an orange off me earlier. How you doing, sweetheart? And she's looking pretty good. We just now need to get all of our plans together for the day of the move.
Kiki was originally smuggled from the wild in Africa. In countries like Sierra Leone, it's not uncommon for adult chimps to be killed and their babies stolen. They're crammed into tiny boxes and then exported and sold on the black market. Many of the chimps at the park are the victims of this illegal trade. Kiki's owners bought her when she was very young, so she's never really experienced life with other chimps.
It would be so easy for an animal in this situation to be obese. You know, she's got no company, she hasn't got any space for exercise or anything, but she looks fine. She really does look fine, and she looks actually quite well adjusted as well. It isn't like she's, you know, sitting there rocking with any form of sort of cage paralysis or anything. She's apparently quite a well-adjusted young lady.
The team have already decided which group of chimps Kiki is going to live with back at the park.
We have enough information with her age and size and gender and everything to realise where, you know, where we feel her best option is, which is what we've chosen is Hananya's group. And then, really, that's as far as I'm going to take it. I mean, the rest is in the lap of the gods. I mean, we'll see. That's down to them. And you cannot make person A like person B.
For the flight home, John will give Kiki a light sedation to keep her calm.
The only real issue is to work out how we can inject her, how we can dart her without her hiding in this little night den or, you know, evading our best efforts to knock her down. But I don't know, this is rather reassuring.
Banging and crashing on this
It'd be a very bad idea.
is not going to help. You're going to be really angry with me when I attack this with a big hammer.
The team need to get Kiki out of her cage and into her transport box. But they've discovered the cage door has rusted and won't open, so it's going to need some brute force.
You don't think that door's going to open?
It's going to open, it will open, but it's going to be noisy to open, so a lightly sedated Kiki might just think, oh, I'm going to wake up again.
Nothing's ever straightforward on these. Getting her into the transport box has to go smoothly. Fingers crossed.
At Monkey World, all the chimpanzees live in large social groups as they would in the wild, which means there's always someone to play with. Hananya's group are all quite young and lively. The team are hoping that one chimp in particular will be able to help Kiki settle in. Patricia.
I think there are several females in this group that are very friendly and potentially a good first introductions, but we chose Patricia for a number of reasons. Partly her and Kiki's background is not dissimilar. And also, Patricia's been here for 6 years now, so although she had a slow start, she's now quite a solid member of the group, and we've used her in the numerous introductions that we've had since her arrival.
Like Kiki, Patricia was smuggled from the wild for the illegal pet trade and spent the first 6 years of her life living in a small cage on a patio on the Spanish island of Fuerteventura. Jeremy and the team brought her back to live at the park. It was difficult at first because she wasn't used to being with other chimps, but has settled in well.
I would describe Patricia as a fun-loving chimp, a playful chimp, a very sweet-natured chimp who really brings out the best of the other individuals in the group and really is an integral part of the group now at Hananya's and really encompasses everything that Monkey World's about because she's come from a deprived background and she's now in a social group and doing really well.
It'll be important for Kiki to get on well with leader Hananya. Patricia found this relationship difficult at first, but now they're the best of friends.
I think at the beginning she was moving away from him because she was very fearful and that frustrated Hananya. Now she actually welcomes his proximity and she brings out his playful side. You know, we often see Hananya and Patricia play and that's really nice to see the dominant male have those down times when he's relaxed and he's not having to worry about the stress of running the group.
So all eyes are going to be on Patricia for the next few days.
I think we're optimistic that she will make that very important first contact. It's going to be the first contact that Kiki's had with chimps for many, many years. And that physical contact is important, and it's important to do it quickly as soon as Kiki arrives. We're confident Patricia's the right one to go with first, but we'll just have to wait and see.
In Beirut, the team are making final preparations to transport Chimp Kiki back to the UK. At her hotel, Alison is sorting through last-minute paperwork.
Last night I was lucky enough to be able to sit down for an hour or so and meet Kiki's owners, and you know, they've been very nervous because they're worried that people will criticize them for having the chimpanzee. But what you got to remember is they were the ones that contacted us. They want Kiki to have a good future with a family of her own kind, and we can help them do that. And she gave me some baby photos, which are just fantastic. So by looking at them And knowing that the owners had her for 7 years, we can estimate that Kiki's 9 to 10 years old, which is interesting because she's actually quite a small chimpanzee, but that might be because she's led such a limited existence in that small cage. She hasn't really been able to develop fully. So it's always interesting what you learn when talking to the previous owners about the animals' backgrounds, and nice to see some baby photos.
Wildlife vet John Lewis has decided Kiki will need a full anaesthetic so the team can get her out of the rusted cage and into the transport box.
Well, we don't want to make up the darts in front of the cage because it's just an extra unusual event that could excite Kiki, wind her up. She may have seen darts made up before, I don't know. And if she has, she knows what is coming. So, because you always get a better, smoother, safer anaesthetic if the animal is not excited, we're going to make it up here.
Transporting a chimp across the world is never straightforward. But this rescue is particularly difficult because Lebanon has not signed up to CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. This means that the Lebanese government has had to agree with the UK authorities to let Alison take Kiki out of the country.
Nervous time because I'm just hoping and assuming that we've got everything done, because the whole journey and getting her on board the plane could fail at the last minute if any one of these papers isn't just perfect. We came a couple of days early just to make sure that all of these I's were dotted and T's crossed, and I think we're there now. It's time for Kiki to come to Monkey World.
It's early evening in Beirut, and the time has come to take Chimp Kiki to the airport for the start of her long journey back to the UK. The team are anxious. They need to anaesthetize the chimp so they can get her out of her rusted cage and into the transport box. They're also keen not to attract too much attention because they don't want Kiki getting overexcited.
You happy, Jeremy?
He's out with her right now. Jeremy, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep.
John doesn't want Kiki to see the dart gun in case it upsets her.
There you go.
He needs the chimp to be as calm as possible so that he can get a clear shot.
So you can see the dart, Jeremy.
Yep, she's got hold of
In
it.
and off.
Done.
We're trying to keep everything quiet and calm around here so that now she'll actually start falling asleep. So we're hoping within the next 7 to 10 minutes she'll go down, and then we'll have to break into the cage. So now it's just a waiting time, but Jeremy's over there keeping an eye on her. So.
As soon as Kiki is asleep, Jeremy gets to work with an angle grinder.
Good.
It's the only way to get Kiki out of the rusty cage. John and Jeremy work quickly. They only have 10 minutes before Kiki starts to wake up.
All good. Let's give it a once over.
While she's anaesthetised, John does a quick health check. He puts a lubricant in her eyes to prevent them from drying up.
This is always, for me, the most stressful time. I want to see Kiki fit and healthy and up, so John's telling us to be quiet, so I think that we best take heed, but it's looking really good so far.
John takes bloods and inserts a microchip under her skin. As she begins to stir, they waste no time in getting her into the travel crate.
she was getting light, and I think the moving stimulated her a little bit, so she's starting to move ahead a bit. I mean, she's now had a reversal drug, a reversal agent to actually get her up, but she's also had a little bit of a tranquilizer so that her journey in the plane is so much more calm for her. So she'll probably be very groggy, but yes, I think she'll get up now.
John really got the anaesthetic dose just right, and she went down really nicely, and the length of anaesthesia was exactly what we needed. I keep telling him he'll get it right one day, and it was exactly right. And she woke up just when we were ready to put her in the box, and if you see now, she's good. It really was a good job.
And in a few hours' time, we'll pick her up on the back of a lorry and straight off to the airport. Next stop, Monkey World in Hananya's group. So really pleased she's going to have a family of her own.
There have been several new arrivals at the park this year. One is Overweight Oshine. The big orangutan has had a tough time settling in, but is finally beginning to shine. Today, she's having clicker training, or operant conditioning. This is where the primates are taught to present different parts of their bodies in return for treats. It's important because it means the staff can do health checks and give injections more easily.
Oshine, do you want to come in here? Come on. Good girl. Cute skinny lady.
13-year-old Oshine came from South Africa, where she was brought up with humans.
Hello, darling. How you doing?
She doesn't know much about orangs, but she does understand people.
She came in at about 100 kilograms at the airport. She's actually lost 20 kilograms since she's been with us, so she's doing really, really well on her new diet. Today we're going to be doing a little bit more training with her, with the operant conditioning. She's quite a clever girl, and she knows quite a lot of things so far, so we'll see how we get on with her. And? Good girl. Tasty banana. Thanks. And? Good girl.
Oshine makes light work of the clicker training, although obviously it helps that there's food involved.
Yeah? Good girl. She needs a lot of things to enrich her life here, to keep her happy. So the more regularly we do things like operant conditioning and enrichment for her, generally I think the more happier she is. Good girl.
Oshine's diet has changed radically since arriving.
When she first came to us, she looked at sort of things like carrots, and especially the greens, turned her nose up and just didn't want to know, didn't understand what it was that she was eating, I think. But she's eating pretty much everything we give her now. And I think after initially losing the sort of fatty foods in her diet that she was having, she's really enjoying all the food. As you can see, she's looking at the bowl right now, trying to see what she's getting next.
In Beirut, Kiki's on the transporter which will take her to the airport.
Steamy in there anyway.
The biggest concern for the team now is to keep her as calm as possible. If she's agitated and noisy, she won't be allowed onto the flight.
Yeah. I can see a huddled mass under a blanket.
She's under a blanket.
John has only given her a light sedation for the journey because it would be too dangerous for her to be fully anaesthetised. She could choke if she was to slump the wrong way whilst she was in the cargo hold. She needs to be conscious but calm.
She's slept well overnight. She looks quite good. I think we're probably more tired and nervous than she is, but at least we're here and we're unloading her now, and soon we'll get her boarded onto the plane.
Take that off now.
Jeremy wants to make sure Kiki has enough air in the box.
Because it's fogging up in there, I want the air to move around.
Once we get her settled, we can always lift the door off for a minute and see what it's like in there.
Workers at the airport are all keen to catch a glimpse of this unusual cargo. This point in a rescue is always a tense time for Alison, as she knows if any of the paperwork isn't correct, Kiki won't be allowed out of the country.
I think we've got it labeled with all of her appropriate documents. I think we're ready to go now. I've weighed the box. I'm not sure what the grand total was on that. It'll be about 300 and probably 30 kilos, I expect. But so nice, big, strong box. She's got comfortable in there. Bit angry right now because there's so much activity, but we'll get her inside and settled down. Should be good.
The team have been given special permission to go airside at Beirut to make sure Kiki is loaded safely. Jeremy wants to give Kiki food for the journey.
Medicine?
Food.
Food.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, good. Very good, darling. Good girl. Is it good girl? I'm just going to load her up with some breakfast here to just keep her going. It's a good girl. You good girl.
And he makes sure she has enough water so she doesn't get dehydrated. For the next 5 hours, she's going to be on her own in the cargo hold. It'll be an anxious time for the team before they can check on her again at Heathrow. Next time on Monkey Life. Kiki has a rude awakening when she arrives at the park.
All of that's a little bit intimidating for a person.
And bedtime blues at Paddy's when grouchy Grisby tries to take Kay's bedding. Today on Monkey Life, Chimp Kiki finally arrives at the park after a mammoth journey from the Middle East.
Excellent job! What a good girl!
There's exciting news at the Gibbon house.
At the moment, she's just sitting up there sunbathing, trying to get the baby nice and warm.
And Paddy the peacemaker has his hands full at bedtime. Monkey World in Dorset is home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team rescue and rehabilitate primates from all over the world.
The monkey's gotten really aggressive and has started self-mutilating.
At Beirut Airport in Lebanon, Alison and the team have time for one last check on Chimp Kiki before she's loaded onto the plane for the flight back to the UK. Kiki has been given a light sedation to keep her calm throughout her journey.
Yeah, she's just sat in the back of the box looking out. Looking really good, actually.
Kiki has led a very lonely life in Beirut. For years, she's been kept locked in a small cage at the side of a road. After a lot of delicate negotiations, her owners finally agreed to let Alison rehome her at Monkey World. It's been a difficult rescue, as the door of the cage had rusted closed, and Kiki had to be fully anaesthetised before Jeremy could get her out.
Let's give it a once over.
The team are always anxious about putting animals in a cargo hold of a plane, as they never know how they'll react. They're trying to reassure Kiki by staying with her as long as possible.
Good girl. Looks really nice in there. Really pleased as punch. Hey, we're about to head out. And they Gladys to come down and check on her, so we're just going to get her on board the plane, and then we're off to London. So job well done for everybody, because this hasn't been an easy one. It's been really tricky, but we're finally there. Can't be happier.
Jeremy has given Kiki plenty of food and water for the flight. Now all they can do is wait. This is the last time they'll see her before they land. The journey from Lebanon to Heathrow in the UK will take more than 5 hours. And when the plane finally touches down in London, the ground staff waste no time in unloading the live cargo. As with all animals that arrive in the UK, Kiki and her documentation will have to be thoroughly checked out in the airport's Animal Reception Centre before she's allowed to carry on to the park.
We will health check the animal, and we'll check the paperwork relating to that animal in order for any animal to clear customs, and that's purely to ensure that there's a registered point of entry for Kiki, so that if any time in the future she's got a record that she was legally accepted into the UK.
Looks like she's had a pretty good journey, all wrapped up in her blanket, and it's, you know, it's a 5-hour flight or so, but I think she's ready to get out, so we'll get things moving. Got to get the paperwork done here, and Jeremy can hang out with her until we're done. No, really good trip.
Kiki will not be released until government officials are happy that all the quarantine procedures have been followed.
It's a good girl, sweetheart.
Hello, sweetie.
Pop that down there. So you got it?
Yeah.
Hello, darling. You want some of this?
It's a relief for Jeremy to finally open the crate. He needs to make sure that she's fit and healthy after the flight.
If an animal's eating, it's an indicator that all is reasonably well.
Kiki likes the fruit, but isn't so keen on the nutritious pellets on offer.
She doesn't like those, and I don't blame her. And I'll have one now because I'm starving. You want some of this? No, we haven't got any juice. I wonder if there's anything in that drinks machine. Is that more like it? He's a good girl. I just want to make sure she's hydrated and she doesn't look on water as being a drink. And, you know, that's, again, you know, she doesn't need to have that baptism of fire right now, this minute. I'm sure she'll evolve into drinking water, but now isn't the time or place to have some sort of discipline on that scale. Tonight, she can just camp out in a bedroom and be on her own, and then tomorrow we'll start finding friends for her.
With all the formalities completed, Kiki is ready to be loaded into the van. And with the sedation worn off, she's very interested in everything that's happening.
We're going home now, so next stop, Dorset.
For weeks now, staff have been eagerly awaiting the birth of a golden-cheeked Gibbon. They knew Zoey was pregnant, but weren't sure exactly when she was due. They set up a CCTV camera in her bedroom to record the happy event, and when they arrived into work this morning, they noticed a little addition to the group.
We got a call this morning to say that they'd just seen her swinging by the camera with a little baby attached. She's doing really, really well. She's moving about. The baby is holding on really tightly, which is great. But obviously we will, throughout the day, keep a really good eye on her and make sure the baby is suckling, make sure it's still holding on tight and make sure it's doing really, really well.
Breakfast is always served outside, and today is no exception. The staff want to keep the Gibbon's routine as normal as possible. Zoey and her baby follow the rest of the family into the enclosure.
She came straight out just as well as she does every other morning. She's doing really well. She went immediately to start to feed, which is a really good sign. She's obviously really nice and relaxed.
Golden-cheeked gibbons are endangered in the wild, so every birth is important.
At the moment, she's just sitting up there sunbathing, trying to get the baby nice and warm, keeping herself nice and warm. She's been grooming baby a little bit as well, so it's a really good sign. Both really nice and healthy and nice and relaxed.
Baby gibbons suckle for up to 2 years. They're born blonde, but go through a colour change from around 8 months until they're completely black. Females turn blonde again when they reach sexual maturity. It'll be a while before staff can get close enough to determine the sex of this baby. Dad Jake and daughter Kim are having to get used to the new arrival too.
With Jake, he's always been very protective, but obviously now today he's extra specially protective. He is sticking around Zoey quite a bit, but he's also giving her a good bit of space as well. Obviously, it's her first day as mum to this baby, so he is giving her a bit of room so that she can settle down into it. Little Kim now seems to be really, really inquisitive. She's just gone over to mum, see everything's all right, let her know she's still there and finding out what baby's all about. We're really excited to see it. We've been waiting for a long time, hoping this will come, and we're just really excited to see them out and about, as they should be.
The park provides a home for 16 different species of primates. One of the more unusual is the cotton-top Tamarinds. It's feeding time for Alice and Uncas. And Toby is putting out some of their favourite insects. These two cotton tops were brought to the park after being rescued during a raid on a puppy farm in Kent in a joint operation by police and the RSPCA. The monkeys had been kept in a bird cage with very little room to move around. Since arriving at the park, they've thrived.
This enclosure gives them lots and lots of space to explore. It has lots of plants in it, lots of insects and bugs for them to catch. Obviously, that's a lot better for them than living in a small bird cage where they have very little space and no natural foliage to sort of climb around in. When they did arrive, their weights were quite low and their coats were very greasy, but they have both put on quite a lot of weight. It was even the point where we wondered if Alice was actually pregnant because she'd developed quite a good belly, but I think it's mostly through eating lots of food and lots of insects. Alice is a fairly elderly female, whereas Uncas, we think, is sort of middle-aged, really. They get vitamin D3 twice a week, which is something we give to all our marmosets and Tamarinds. Basically, this is like a natural substitute for the vitamin D that they get from the sunlight. It's very important in helping to fight off bone disease and rickets. Having an outside enclosure in natural sunlight will hopefully do them a lot of good and help them avoid any sort of problems in later life.
Cotton-top Tamarinds are only found in Colombia and are one of the most endangered primates in the world. It's thought there may only be 1,000 of them left in the wild. It's estimated that tens of thousands of cotton-tops were exported around the world between 1960 and 1975 for use in biomedical research. In the UK, many people keep Tamarinds as exotic pets, but few know how to care for them. Lavar's tree-filled woolly monkey enclosure has recently undergone extensive refurbishment, and it's finally finished.
We've had it empty for a little while doing a bit of renovation work, putting some new ropes in and things. We've completely overhauled the enclosure with cargo nets, all sorts. Hopefully, when they come back in here, it'll all be quite exciting.
The woolies are keen to get outside to find out what's been going on. Lavar and adopted son Julio lead the way.
Lavar always gives it his all and tries to do a proper dominance display, testing all of the ropes, sliding along some of the hose we've put in the trees, and chest rubbing, which is scent marking to claim every little inch of hose pipe that we've put up. There's an awful lot of new ropes and hose pipes in here, so it will take him a long time to scent mark it all, but we seem to be keeping him busy. Paquita is increasingly keen to sort of strike out on her own and enjoy the food and the new shoots in the enclosure. But Isla is also increasingly independent, so she doesn't mind spending a little bit of time away from mum every now and again.
Susie, however, is not so keen on the idea of venturing out. At 38, she's the oldest woolly monkey in captivity in the world.
Susie, true to form, is a little bit more cautious. She likes to stay out of the chaos that is most of the woolly monkey group and just mosey along at the end. She seems to approve. We've got high hopes that as the summer goes on, that will be her sunbathing platform and she'll be able to bask and be nice and warm and comfortable. Julio's doing really well. He is going through a very difficult period of his life at the moment. He's doing the sort of equivalent of teenage years. He's starting to get the big dominant male muscles. His shoulders are getting bigger. He's got a very big jaw, but his moods are all over the show. Sometimes he's an absolute sweetie, and other times he's going completely bananas practicing dominance displays. He hasn't quite got the hang of it yet. Diego has done us proud today. Because he's hand-reared, he didn't have the experience of being brought into the outside enclosure by his mum, so he's had to pluck up the courage on his own. And he's shot across the enclosure. He's investigated everything. He's been up and down in the trees, and it's absolutely fantastic, and we're all over the moon for him. The little chirrups that you hear are contact calls. It's just a way of the group telling each other where they are. Everybody seems chuffed to bits with the things we've done to their enclosure. We're really happy because it's keeping them busy, keeping their minds working. And all in all, it's been really, really positive.
Every evening, staff put out clean bedding and food for the chimps to encourage them to come inside and settle down for the night. Paddy's group are always excited to find out what they've got for supper. Kathy and Clin lead the way, quickly followed by the others. Paddy takes a melon and sits next to Clin, but she moves away, not wanting to eat next to the boss. Clin was rescued from a lab and has an obsessive-compulsive nature. At feeding time, she gathers as much food as she can. The others know not to mess with her. Being the end of the day, the chimps are tired and a bit fractious. So the inevitable squabbles break out. Zoey and Hebe have had a disagreement over a melon. And leader Paddy steps in to try and calm Zoey down. But Zoe's lost it and is now upsetting Athena. Paddy has to sort her out too. This can be a busy time of day for the leader. As things calm down, Zoey and Hebe make friends again. And the chimps turn their attention to bedtime. They all know that a comfy bed is the key to a good night's sleep, so they begin to build their nests. Susie gathers blankets for her and son Bart. Gamba, meanwhile, is on a mission to gather as much wood wool as possible. He likes his bed nice and soft. But there's trouble brewing. Bart is still in a playful mood, and Hebe thinks he's about to steal her bedding. Once again, Paddy has to step in to keep the peace. As leader, it's his job to keep the group together and deal with these temper tantrums. And now Grisby is trying to pinch Kay's bed. Paddy's daughter Eddie bags one of the hammocks. In the wild, chimps bed down in a similar way, using branches and foliage to make themselves as comfortable as possible. Once Paddy's happy that everyone's sorted, he's finally ready to get some shut-eye himself. And Bart snuggles up for some sweet dreams with Mum Susie. Chimp Kiki is nearing the end of her long journey to the park. The weather isn't quite what she was used to in Lebanon, but the staff are preparing to make her arrival as comfortable and welcoming as possible. It's been an exhausting trip for the team.
How are you feeling about now? I'm feeling pretty shattered now. Yeah, that looks the same way I feel.
Kiki is going to be joining Hananya's group, but the plan tonight is just to get her settled into one of the bedrooms so that she can start getting used to her new surroundings.
Hey, missus! Good girl!
The primate care staff are on hand to meet their new charge.
The box is going to be marred up to the kitchen bedrooms, which we've prepared, we've cleaned, we've got blankets and nice food and some wood wool in there, so she'll just bed down for the night. So she'll probably be able to hear the other chimps and see her into the outside enclosure, but we'll save any meetings until she's had a good night's rest.
A special plate has been bolted onto the front of the crate to allow Kiki easy access through the slide and into the house.
Yeah, we're good.
Come on, missus. Come on then. Kiki. Come on there. Here you go, sweet pea.
Yeah, you're good to close it, Cara.
Excellent job. What a good girl.
Kiki hears Hananya's group kicking off next door. They know something's going on.
You're okay. You're all right.
Alison tries to reassure the nervous newcomer.
Every time they kick off next door, it's a little bit of a shock, but she doesn't know who's on the other side of the door, so, you know, fair enough. She's going to test everything out. She's had a drink. She says hello to me, which is nice. But no, she looks good. I mean, bright as a button, really, so. All of that's a little bit intimidating for a person, but you know, it's part of the process, and at some point in time, it's all of those noises that are gonna kick a light switch in her head, and it'll all start making sense eventually. Tomorrow, we'll crack on with picking out some non-threatening females and seeing if we can bring somebody in who will be kind and nice to her. And we'll start it out slowly. But tonight, she's just gonna have to live with noisy neighbors next door, and hopefully she'll just get used to it and realize it's a lot of bluster and that nothing's happening for tonight.
Next time on Monkey Life, Kiki has a warm welcome from Patricia.
We'll leave these guys and hope that she's not bald by tomorrow.
And overweight Oshine has a special visitor.
Oh my goodness. Here's Mummy. Hi.
Today on Monkey Life. New arrival Kiki has her first encounter with another chimp.
Patricia, modify your behavior.
Emergency dental treatment for woolly monkey Bueno.
Difficult extraction, isn't it?
And a blast from the past. Overweight Oshine has a special visitor.
Ah, kissy mama.
This is Monkey World in Dorset. Based deep in the English countryside, it's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team rescue and rehabilitate primates from all over the world.
We just would like to make a nice life for the monkeys.
It's early morning, and at Hananya's enclosure, the chimps are already in fine voice. But, unbeknown to them, there's about to be a new addition to the group. Kiki has been brought over from Lebanon, where she lived on her own in a cage for 8 years.
What? Kiki, what are you thinking?
She's never known other chimps, so this whole experience is going to be a bit of a culture shock.
We're just going to get started this morning, first full day here at the park, and it's time for her to start meeting some chimps. Cara's got Patricia separated off next door. All of the others are outside, sort of looking in the window and throwing things at the window and pounding on the door, but it's time to get Kiki involved because at this stage it's very delicate. You know, she could just start getting depressed and lonely and homesick and all of those things.
The team have chosen Patricia to meet Kiki first because she's a friendly chimp and has a similar background to Kiki. She was smuggled from the wild as a baby and spent the first few years of her life living in a small cage on a Spanish island.
Patricia, by all accounts, is the one that runs around giving everybody a hug and a pat on the back, so we'll see how we go with Patricia this morning.
The team are apprehensive because they don't know how either of the chimps will react. Kiki has been on her own for a long time.
Good girl. Should we open the door?
Yeah.
It seems calm, quiet before it starts getting agitated. Good girl.
Kiki immediately approaches Patricia, who very gently makes contact but doesn't overdo it.
A bit too brave, maybe.
Oh, Patricia!
That's this amazing instinct thing, isn't it?
Wow! I didn't expect that. No.
The team are impressed with Kiki's confidence and the way Patricia is interacting with her. Patricia starts to groom Kiki. This is an important part of primate behaviour and consolidates friendships. Although she may be going a bit too far plucking out Kiki's hair.
Patricia, modify your behavior.
The team couldn't be happier with the way this meeting has gone.
She walks straight in and walks up to people like that. They might just go, oh, okay. And if she's like that with Simon and the rest of them, they're gonna love her to bits, yeah.
So, once again, Patricia has proved to be the perfect choice for her first introduction and seems to have put Kiki at ease.
It was very, very, very obvious that she's a bright, I was going to say bright cookie, a bright Kiki. Very clever girl, but that can go either way. That can make you a real nightmare or it can make you a good diplomat. And she's obviously, so far, a diplomat.
Do we thank our lucky stars and leave it? Do we bring anybody else into it? Do we need more space before anybody else goes in?
I think we need more space.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave these guys and hope that she's not bald by tomorrow.
Kiki's bald arms are a result of over-grooming. It's a behaviour pattern that's well known at the park.
I think a lot of the time the over-grooming that we get here at the park probably relates to the traumatic background that a lot of our chimpanzees have come from. When I was first contacted about Kiki. I was sent some photographs, and one of the most notable things was she had these glowing white naked arms that looked almost like she had sleeves on. When you're sat in a cage all by yourself 24/7 with nothing else to do, you do sort of start picking either at your fingernails, or in Kiki's case, she simply plucked out every single hair on her forearms.
Grooming is perfectly natural, and it's not just chimps who do this. All primates, from the smallest to the largest, groom both themselves and each other. It helps to keep their coats free of parasites, but more importantly, it's a social activity and helps strengthen bonds. However, sometimes, like Kiki, they can overdo it. One group in particular has perfected the art of over-grooming.
Out of all of the chimpanzees here at the park, the most notable group that has an over-grooming tendency is Hananya's group. A lot of them have these very funky patterns. Some people, it's just on their forearms. Some people, it's over the shoulders. Back of the neck's a common one. So Hananya's is the group of interesting hairdos. They're not just sort of flicking through the hair and checking out the skin. They lean forward and they actually pull out each little hair.
Although a very happy group, Hananya's chimps just seem to enjoy grooming more than others at the park. Alison has her own theories.
They are a relatively young group who are at that really delicate stage in life where times can be a little bit tricky and stressful, and often nervous behavior can be displaced by grooming. One other very common thread, though, within Hananya's group is that almost the entire group have all been brought on by Sally over in what was our nursery group. And Sally has always loved over-grooming, forearms in particular. So I think it's probably a little bit of everything. Having Sally as a mother, being an orphan and not having appropriate social background, as well as now just a set behavior and culture in this group that's self-perpetuating. A little bit crazy, a little bit strange, but everybody's fine and just has funny hairdos.
For months now, staff have been concerned about woolly monkey Bueno. He's been losing weight and has had a swelling on his face. So far, the veterinary team haven't been able to work out what the problem is. So they've asked wildlife dentist Peter Cortez to investigate.
Sleepy Willy, excellent. This is a woolly monkey called Bueno, and occasionally he has signs that might be related to a dental problem. Occasional abscess which comes up around the face, either here or perhaps up here sometimes. And we have Peter here today, so we'd like to get it resolved.
Wow. Which side of his face was it?
The right.
I bet it was the right.
This is the first time John has put Bueno under anaesthetic. He never operates on any of the primates unless absolutely necessary, because of the risks involved.
I'm putting the tube on the other side. Bits of excess. Okay.
The first time this occurred, the whole of the side of his face swelled out there. So probably those molars.
Could be the molars. When you look at his face, you can see that it has had an abscess there. It's an old scar from an abscess, and when you look inside, the nose is a little bit mucky, but the big issue is this canine here, and that's exposed. And you know, in a normal situation, I would be inclined to root fill it, but as he has had multiple episodes of infection, I would be more inclined to extract it. The other side is acceptable, although the teeth are very worn. The low ones are all right, but a little bit sharp. There's a couple of roots on the other side as well, but this is the priority. Okay?
So it's bad news for Bueno. He has several rotten teeth and they're going to need to come out.
What we do is we just make a standard incision.
Woolly monkeys need to have strong teeth because in the wild they eat tough, fibrous foods. They also need to be able to protect their family if there are territorial disputes with other woolly monkey troops.
These teeth are designed to last. They're not like our pathetic little teeth. They've got roots the size of buses on them.
It's an anxious time for the whole team. Woolly monkeys are extremely rare, and John isn't keen for Bueno to be under anaesthetic any longer than he has to be. But this operation is going to take several hours.
Difficult extraction, isn't it?
At the Park's hospital, woolly monkey Bueno is still in theatre.
His teeth are massive, where they've got triangular roots.
The team have worked out that his recent weight loss is due to his rotten teeth, which must have been causing him a considerable amount of pain and put him off eating.
What we're doing now is to see whether we get any movement on it.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful with this.
I will.
John keeps a close eye on Bueno to make sure he's coping with the anaesthetic.
Okay. It's the machinery, not the animal. That's fine.
You can see the length of that, and you're going to get some movement.
I feel it.
As you can see, it's a massive tooth with a massive root. And here it comes. There's.
I think it's there.
You can smell it. It smells.
Give me one of those.
There's a small hole up there. You just can make sure that that's clean. The tooth was worn down. The pulp was exposed. The infection has actually penetrated into the nose. Just going to put some stitches in so it heals up nicely. These are soluble stitches, so Jeremy won't have to go in and take them out next week. He's still got 3 canines to bite the others if he wants to.
With the operation complete, John gives Bueno an injection to bring him round from the anaesthetic. The team are on tenterhooks until they see him begin to wake up. Jeremy is keen to get Bueno back into his group as soon as possible to avoid any unnecessary stress. There's been some sad news about one of the park's other woolly monkeys. Susie has passed away. At 38, she was the oldest woolly in captivity in the world.
The night before Susie died, she was looking sort of gravely ill. We all knew it was probably coming to the end. We made her as comfortable as we possibly could, and the best thing to do in these situations is just to leave the group as they are. And when we came in the morning, Susie unfortunately had already passed away.
Susie had been at the park since 1997 and was one of only 2 Colombian woolly monkeys in captivity outside South America.
The woolly monkey population as a whole have suffered a huge loss. On a personal level, of course, we've lost one of the nicest monkeys that I think we've ever had here. Susie was, well, she was just Susie is the best way to describe her. She was just lovely. always very friendly towards people due to our background as a pet trade animal.
Such a good girl, Suze. Good girl.
So very friendly towards keepers, but also really lovely towards the other members of our group, especially when it came to the babies. Always wanting to show the babies how to hunt for insects, you know, just showing especially the hand-reared ones how to be a woolly monkey. She did get on very well with Julio and Diego. When they first were introduced back into the woolly monkey family after being hand-reared, it was Susie that we turned to first.
Are you going to check Susie out?
She was the one who showed them how to be a real woolly monkey, so she did have a particularly close bond with those two. Diego was her best friend. The snuffles every morning is what she's going to be remembered for most. Every member of staff, as they walked past the woolly monkey house, called on Susie, and she would call back with a little snuffle, and I think everyone misses that.
Woolly monkeys are found in South America in the forests of Brazil, Peru, Ecuador and Colombia. The average life expectancy in captivity is around 25 years, so at 38, Susie did live to a grand old age.
The woolly monkey section is very lucky in that our breeding programme is doing exceptionally well. In the past few years, we've had an unprecedented number of births, so that, yeah, the future's looking good.
Overweight orangutan Oshine arrived at the park several months ago from South Africa. Today, she's having a special visitor. Her former owner, Brenda, has flown in especially to see her.
Oh, I'm so excited to see her. Oh, my goodness. Here's Mummy. Hi.
Brenda got Oshine from a safari park in Indonesia and looked after her from when she was a baby. She treated her like one of her own children.
Oh, shame. She recognized me.
Yep, definitely.
Mummy.
Oshine will never forget Brenda, not ever, not until the day she dies. So whenever Brenda comes, it's immediately, yes, I give you a kiss. Do you have anything for me? Because that's what mums do. And there's a set sort of relationship and pattern.
Give Mummy a kiss. You win. Kiss your Mama.
Nice one.
Hi, darling. Mummy's gonna bring you.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Let's
come. We're gonna go. Mummy's gonna bring you, darling.
What's interesting to see is that Oshine's in standard orangutan form, not overly fussed, but the fact that she came over and put her hand up and gave her the kiss before she started pointing at the raisins means that, yeah, she's happy to see Brenda and she hasn't forgotten.
Brenda asked Alison to rehome Oshine because as she got older, she became stronger and more intelligent, so difficult to handle. She also wanted Oshine to get to know other orangs.
You want more? Well, she's got her own kind, whereas at home she was more my child. I used to be there every morning to make sure everything was good for her, play with her, keep her company, take her for walks, take her for drives. But here she's learning to live like she should. And I'm happy. At least I can go to bed at night and know that she's happy. She's still getting her magazines?
Yes.
She's still reading?
Yes.
Oh, bless it.
While living in South Africa, Oshine was overfed, sometimes with inappropriate sugary snacks. As a result, she ended up being clinically obese. But since arriving, the weight is falling off her.
Yeah, look at those calves, they're almost slim.
Yes.
Getting there. You can see it's coming off of her thighs a bit too.
And off her head.
Yep.
And her arms are not so big anymore.
And I think that's why she moves around a bit more now too, is that it's just, she moves easier.
Yes.
I believe we've now turned the corner
and she's quite a happy camper. Oshine!
Oshine, look at Mama.
She's now queen of the orangutan nursery castle, if you will, and you know, basically pushes everybody else out of, I'm going through here, I go in the back bedrooms, I go outside, I do what I want, no, my blankets, more of that, less of this, you guys can go away. And she's finally come into her own, and Oshine's just doing fantastic.
She's gonna cover herself. Yep. Over there, I've got to take a picture. Thanks, Cooks.
No, she always has on her little
she loves her little
nun
blankie.
outfit.
She loves her blankie.
It's been difficult for Brenda to let Oshine go, but she knows she's better off here.
I get up in the morning, I come downstairs and I'm looking for her. When I close my windows at night, I look for her. So it's a little bit sad, actually. Every now and then I wish she was back home, but she's happy. You know, I can leave with a good heart.
Next time on Monkey Life. Going, gone. It's Oshine's big weigh-in.
Good girl. There we go. Sit down. Good girl.
And Kiki meets the leader of the gang, Hananya. Today on Monkey Life.
Good girl.
Oshine's big weigh-in.
Good girl. There we go. Sit down. You've put on weight.
Chimp Kiki gives Hananya a run for his money.
Hananya's all puffed up, charging around, and what do? You run up to the biggest guy in the room and you smack him.
And the elderly Stumpies enjoy their newfound freedom. This is Monkey World in Dorset. It's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team rescue and rehabilitate primates from all over the world.
This is always, for me, the most stressful time. I want to see Kiki fit and healthy.
Today is a big day for overweight Oshine. Jeremy has decided to find out exactly how much weight she's lost since arriving at the park. She was rehomed a few months ago from South Africa. There, she lived in the lap of luxury with her owner, Brenda. Her weight ballooned because she was overfed, sometimes with inappropriate sugary food.
Time for Mama.
Oshine was 100 kilos when she arrived. She was immediately put on a strict health regime and encouraged to exercise. As a result, the weight has fallen off her. And she's already seeing the benefits, moving a lot more easily around the orangutan nursery and the outdoor enclosure.
From the beginning, when she first arrived here to today, I mean, radical changes. First up around her throat sac, all of that, like before it was almost like a collar of fat around her neck and over her shoulders. That's all gone. You can see the tops of her shoulders now. And definitely around her belly, because when she first came, that Buddha belly was just stretched taut and out in front of her. And you can see that the belly is actually saggy and a lot of wrinkly skin now.
Jeremy is hoping to entice Oshine onto the scales. But there's never any guarantee she'll cooperate.
The last time we weighed her, she was 79.7 kilos, so I think she's probably lost a bit more, but, I mean, we were surprised how much she'd lost last time, so we'll see whether we're surprised or not this time. And we're ready to go now when you are.
On my way to...
Come on, gorgeous. Where are you going? Hello there. Are you right? Are you right? We good girl? Good girl. Here we are. Come on. You know what this is, don't you? Good girl. So everybody's watching the weigh machine? Ready?
Yep.
Good girl. There we go. Sit down. Good girl. Have you got the weigh?
And we're at 80 kilos bang on.
80 kilos. Have you got that? You've put on weight. You're a good girl.
So, not quite slimmer of the month, but Alison is still happy with her progress.
You know, Oshine's only been here a few months now, and already she's lost 20 kilos. So, you know, we were hoping to do a very slow and steady weight loss program by feeding her just the normal diet that we feed her at the park and letting the weight fall off naturally. And that's exactly what's happened. We're at a little plateau right now, which just means we need to think about it and maybe a few less bananas and a little more vegetable matter and carry on so that she continues with this really nice gradual weight loss program, because everybody knows that's the best way to lose weight, is slow and gradual.
That is the last grape. Do you want it? Hey, hello? Yeah,
Jean has a really lovely, nice relationship with Jeremy and is quite clearly very content and happy, you know, to come strolling in, sit on the scales, and I'm really pleased for her. I think we've sort of ticked all of the boxes that Oshine needs, and she's settled in now and is, I believe, quite happy and content.
We're just having a moment here. We don't want to talk to you lot anymore.
Oshine was the baby and the princess throughout her lifetime in South Africa, and that, you know, makes you a very spoiled individual because there's no competition. Now that she's in here with all of the youngsters, they provide stimulus and keep her busy. So slowly but surely, I think we're breaking down those social barriers as well. And every day she's becoming, her orang-utan vocabulary is becoming greater, and she's becoming less dependent upon human beings.
It's hoped eventually that Oshine will move away from the nursery and live in one of the adult groups of orangs.
Next step is check her over, make sure she's physically fit, that we don't foresee any heart disease or any issues or diabetic tendencies that we need to deal with. Lose a bit more weight, and then graduate her to an adult group where she can either meet Tuan or Gordon. And, you know, living with the youngsters in here is a very good start, because someday if she does have her own baby, she's going to have a little bit of experience with youngsters.
Hey, Mikado.
Another recent arrival who's due for a weigh-in is Mikado.
He's a good boy.
The golden-cheeked gibbon was rehomed from a zoo in France when his mother died. He's now happily settled with his foster mum, Alex.
You going to sit in the scales for me? Hello. Hi, where are you? Oh, straight in. Sit. Good lad. He's a good boy. OK, how much does he weigh? Can you see?
Yep, 2.3 kilos.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy. He seems to be putting on a little bit of weight, which is good. Sometimes there may be a little bit of a loss. Once he started to go out, then of course he had so much more exercise. So he did sort of level out a little bit for a few weeks at the same weight because he was just burning everything up. And of course we don't want a fat gibbon. You know, I don't think you really ever see a fat gibbon. Most gibbons are very long and lanky, aren't they?
The biggest difference in Mikado since Mike collected him from France is his colour change.
To start off with, he was really bright orange, and then gradually he started to change to the black, which the adult males are, and they will stay black all their lives. The first noticeable change was really sort of round about his ears, and then it was the feet and the hands that went, and now the arms are going, the back's going, and if I don't happen to see him for maybe 4 days, there's a noticeable difference in his colour change. It really is quite dramatic at the moment. He's certainly a very confident lad, a little bit cautious with anything new, but then that's pretty good. He hardly ever sits still, just a typical little gibbon.
Kiki arrived at the park just over a week ago.
Hey, missus!
She was rescued from Lebanon, where she'd lived on her own in a cage for many years. The team decided that she was going to join Hananya's group, and her first meeting with Patricia went very well. Since then, she's been introduced to several of the other females. But today, she gets to meet the boss.
Whenever we do these introductions, especially with adult chimpanzees, it's a dangerous situation because chimpanzees are naturally volatile and very aggressive and dangerous animals. And being very strong, it means that any of these introductions could go totally wrong and it could be a bloodbath.
Don't lock it so we can open it quickly if we need to.
Jeremy and the other primate care staff members are on hand with fire extinguishers in case things get out of hand.
Opening the door between Hananya and a newcomer is always a really tense and frightening time because Hananya's so full on and you sort of just have to hope that you've done everything that you can for the individual and that the friendships and alliances that they've established previously will hold true and people will help her out if she gets into trouble.
Alison, we're going to open the slide now.
Okay, open the door.
Not realising how important Hananya is, Kiki confidently chases him. Having lived on her own for so long, she's unaware of chimpanzee politics.
It was really quite shocking because Kiki's first response, door goes open, Hananya's all puffed up, charging around, and what do? You run up to the biggest guy in the room and you smack him.
The other females keep a watchful eye on Kiki, but don't interfere at this stage. Needing to assert his authority, Hananya starts displaying in front of Kiki. Things gradually begin to quieten down, and Zeynep goes over to the newcomer to make sure she's okay. Kiki's a little more wary of Hananya now, and sticks close to the other girls.
Ladies that were with Kiki did a fantastic job of letting things play out, but then if it really started to get too much and Hananya's teeth started showing a bit too much, they were right in there to say, hold on, stop, pay attention to us, and basically take the focus away from Kiki. Giving Hananya his credit, he wasn't too overbearing. He sort of came in, made sure that he was very awesome and impressive and everybody else showed respect. But then, you know, there was a bit of sitting down and, aren't I beautiful? And Kiki was mesmerized, it worked. So, you know, Hananya actually played his cards very well, making sure she knew who was in charge, but at the same time, being rather available. So it's a really tricky balance between showing who's the boss yet wanting to attract the females, because let's face it, in the end, in the wild, if a female doesn't like the new alpha male or the group, she can just wander off potentially and try and find a new group to join.
Kiki's new friend Patricia steps in to reassure her. Then Hananya approaches again, but this time more gently. Everyone starts to relax.
The combination between the ladies playing and reassuring her, I think, really helped her out to feel not so intimidated by Hananya. And it shows two things. It shows actually that they're good, loyal friends to Kiki, but that also they're not terrified of Hananya. They like Hananya. It might be a bit intimidating and awesome and frightening to us, but it's what chimpanzees do. So we sort of try and prepare ourselves as best we can, knowing their behavior, knowing our individuals, and just taking our time. And if it takes Kiki months or years to get into Hananya's group, so be it. But I suspect, the way things have gone today, that it's actually going to only be a matter of weeks.
Squirrel Monkey Fidget was the first new arrival at the park this year. Alison rehomed him from Essex, where he'd lived in a cage on his own for 20 years. He joined the existing group of squirrel monkeys and has settled in very well. Today, they're having a special treat.
In the world, over half of their diet would be made up of insects, and obviously a large portion of their day would be spent foraging around for them. So we do try and replicate that here at the park, just to really encourage them to work a little bit more for their food. They absolutely love their insects. The fact that these are slightly bigger will bring a slightly new challenge for them. In the group, we've got Alien. She came to us from a lab. We've also got Topsy and Turvy. They both came to us here from the pet trade. And we've also got Samantha. And then lastly, Fidget.
Turvy is first out to investigate.
They are really keen on their insects, so they'll always work that little bit extra hard to get to their insects.
Group leader Alien realises there are surprises inside the box. Fidget seems rather nervous and stays on the sidelines.
Fidget seems to be holding back a little bit. He's kind of hanging around the edge, and he'll probably get stuck in a little bit later on.
The girls are really going for it now. Samantha rises to the challenge, but Fidget is still reluctant to get involved. When the girls gang up together, they're a formidable force.
Alien is really enjoying this. She's even managed to get 2 of the locusts. She's got 1 in each hand, so she's not going to give them up for anything, I don't think.
Squirrel monkeys are extremely dexterous, which means they can catch flighty insects like these large locusts easily with their hands. Although Fidget has yet to find one. Samantha has now turned her attention to the giant grubs. It looks like Fidget has missed out today. The finishing touches are being put to a brand new outdoor enclosure, which is going to house all the park's stumpies.
Today's a very exciting day. This is going to be the first day that the macaques as a group, all of the stump-tailed macaques, old and new, are going to come outside into their big new enclosure for the first time. See you guys later.
A few months ago, 10 stumpies were rehomed from a medical research facility in Scotland. Alison and the team gradually introduced them to the park's current ugly monkeys, and they're slowly learning to live alongside each other.
Hey,
Many of the macaques are elderly, and a huge amount of thought has been put into the design of the enclosure.
The telephone poles leading from platform to platform are doubled up so that they can feel comfortable walking along them. We've incorporated a lot of plants into the enclosure that they'll be able to forage from and eat.
The primate care staff are making final checks to ensure there's nothing harmful lying around after the building work.
We also have to look out for any new plants springing up that either might upset their stomachs or cause them a problem.
We're preparing their breakfast and some nice yummy scatter treats for them, just to try and encourage them to come out and explore their new surroundings. We're putting in some custard in this log for them. We've drilled out holes in the log to try and encourage them to forage around and use their fingers to get the nice yummy treats out.
We'll now let them sort of take their time coming out into the enclosure, but you know, we're all just champing at the bit. You can hear it in my voice. We want them to get out here and use everything because we know how good they're gonna be. So we just need to be patient, and I'm sure the macaques will take care of everything else. Off you go.
Come on, guys. Sam, Kelly, come on.
Sam, the dominant male, pokes his head out to see what's going on. But it's the oldest female Cola who confidently leads the way. Miriam and Maureen are not far behind. Sam and Kelly seem quite impressed with the new playground.
Sam sort of has taken over as leader of the group, I guess. You know, he's beautiful with his long silver coat, and he's come out and done a circuit of the whole enclosure, checking it out, and is testing everything. You see him walk along
trying to get anything and everything to bounce, which is a good male macaque display.
Kelly is proving to be quite adventurous too. Until they arrived at the park, the girls had never been outside in their lives before. Miriam tries out one of the poles. But higher-ranking Kelly has no intention of sharing it. And low-ranking Charlie quickly gets out of the way.
Even Charlie, it's just fantastic to see. She's got a dislocated hip, really badly bent femurs, you know, bad skin condition is at the bottom of the heap, and she's one of the bravest and boldest, making her way all around the way to the far end of the enclosure. So really, really pleased. For the rest of the day, we'll leave them access outside because this is now their home, and that's the main thing, is that sort of over the coming days and weeks, they sort of get used to the enclosure slowly and gradually, and making sure that they don't get into any mischief. All of these hoses that they're having to use to climb up things, really good for the core exercises. It's the macaque fitness routine here at the park. There might be a few stiff joints tomorrow, I expect, because they're not used to that much activity.
Alison is optimistic that this new enclosure will help the Stumpies settle into their new life at the park.
We're giving them the keys back to their lives again and letting them choose whether they come inside or go outside, what they're choosing to eat, how they're getting on with each other. So really, this is just the final step in their rehabilitation now. You have to remember where they've come from, living the vast majority of your life, 10 or more years, in a tiny, controlled environment with no access to the outdoors. Life's very limited, and socially they were quite short with each other. Now, with this flexibility and choice, it means that individuals that are lower ranking can get away from the more dominant individuals, and that makes everybody get along better.
Staff have welcomed lots of new faces at the park this year. And the next arrival will be a baby Sumatran orangutan called Sylvester.
Stop it, you.
He's 11 months old and lives at a zoo in Spain. Monkey World has been asked to rehome him so that he can grow up with other orangs. But he's going to need a helping hand from Jeremy for the first few months.
I always say if you can get a nappy on an orangutan, you can do pretty well anything.
And another eagerly anticipated arrival is Sarah.
From Louisville, Kentucky, the last female woolly monkey in America, and she's here. So, yeah, finally.
They've been asked to rehome Sarah because of their incredible success in breeding these rare monkeys. As Alison and the team prepare for these newcomers, they're only too aware that there are many more monkeys and apes around the world in need of their help. But for the current residents, power struggles carry on and friendships continue to blossom as they learn to live alongside each other as they would in the wild.